Good afternoon and a warm welcome to KBC Lunchtime News on this 11th day of September 2021. Time to have a look at the news shaping up the news conversation in the country. My name is Njue. Lucy Maura is my colleague on the sign language interpretation on the bottom of your screen. For comments, suggestions, or even where you are watching us from, we are also live on our social media spaces. Straight to the news. Members of Solai Ruyo Bay Farm Company in Nakuru County want the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to probe a contentious agreement to swap 8,000 acres of land in Oljorai, Nakuru with Larry Nyakenywa Limited, a move allegedly facilitated by the local land registrar's office. Denouncing the agreement, the directors of the company claimed that it was illegally signed by a faction within the company. They said over 1,300 members withdrew from the deal in the early 2000s after discovering that Larry Nyakenywa's land in Solai measured only 5,000 acres with significant portions either submerged or too hilly for use.
Ilifika wakati tulitaka kubadilisha kweli na Larry Nyakenywa. Lakini ikawa shamba ya Larry Nyakenywa si eka 8,000, ni eka 5,000. So tuka cancel hiyo agreement. Wale wengine ambao ni members wa kampuni hii wakajifanya ni madirectors. Na wakachukua director moja mwenzetu ambao ako kwa ECR 12. Wakampeleka ati wanaenda kubadilisha shamba Nairobi.
Sisi hatutakubali mlango ya nyuma tuingiliwe kwa hiyo shamba bila kufuata taratibu ya kamili.
Tunaomba sana serikali isimamie hii maneno ya hii shamba na itatuliwe na ishe. Watu wapate haki yao, matunda ya kila mwanachama aweze kupata kwa wakati ambaye inastahili, ambaye ni sasa. Kama si saa hii ni sasa.
The county government of Busia has partnered with the UN Habitat to foster the expansion of cross-border trade in the border county and other East African countries. Speaking after the signing of intent in Busia, Busia Governor Dr. Paul Otuoma said the 5-year program will lead to the creation of job opportunities for the youth and women in the county. The head of the UN Habitat Sub-Regional Office for Eastern and Horn of Africa, Ishaku Maitumbi, said the transformation and integration with other partners will foster free continental trade and help fast-track cross-border business and opportunities.
Thank you. Your Excellency, to lay
the sawa, and then we can exchange. Sawa.
That we are able to address a module that is going to integrate the local communities in the East African trade and the African trade so that we are able to generate wealth and also create jobs for the young people and even the gender, especially our women. So this is what we are really looking for, to say that Busia, we should not just be a gateway. We must be integrated in the trade, the East African trade.
People of Busia benefit from that. Very importantly, government is agreement, the young population. We know that Africa, East Africa has a bulging young population. We need to ensure we integrate them specifically to give them paths to creating livelihood.
Very well, from Busia we cross over to Nyeri County to get an update on the Endarasha Hillside School fire tragedy. And my colleague JKIA has been keeping tabs since that fire on Thursday and comes to us with this live update. JJ, if you can hear me, kindly bring us up to speed with the latest from Endarasha.
Thank you, Njue. Back at Broadcasting House. We're live from Narumoru once more. And this is the third day of the national mourning and the final day as the country continues to mourn the death of 21 children consumed by a deadly inferno at the hillside Endarasha Academy. At the Narumoru Level 4 Hospital mortuary, what is happening here today is the autopsy and much being done by the government pathologist, that is Johansen Odur. And that exercise began early this morning. And you will remember there was the advice from the acting regional commissioner in charge of Central Kenya of parents can come to witness what is ongoing if they so wish, but not a must. And what began early is likely to conclude later on today, and at around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. we expect a brief from the government pathologist Johansen Odur. Remember, this will be the culmination also of this 3-day exercise that seeks to put an end to the uncertainty that has rocked this entire area out of the fire inferno. Out of the inferno that consumed these children. On Monday, there was DNA testing that was being done and taking of samples so that for DNA matching for parents and their children. That exercise is likely to conclude in a month's time. There's a lot of scientific experiments that need to be done, or a scientific process that needs to be applied so that the DNA of parents is matched with that of their children. Again, look at how the uncertainty goes. It goes way over and beyond this time because for a whole month, parents will not be able to have any form of closure, really, because they cannot bury their loved ones, even as they await this form of process. Also here today, the autopsy is being conducted on all the 21 bodies that lie here at the Narumoru Level 4 Hospital. You remember some of the bodies were burnt beyond recognition, and that is why it necessitates the DNA testing and matching. But Johansen Odur will be able to conduct that process. And this Bentroy is a standard procedure. They were killed in the fire, but there's a standard procedure that is applied by government to remove any form of doubt whatsoever on the cause of death. And this establishes also whether before the fire there was any other foul play, particularly where you would find probably a student was dead even before they were consumed by the fire. And this eliminates some of these doubts, and that's why Johansen Odur, the government pathologist, is here to conduct this process. About 3 or 4 p.m. we expect a brief from him, and he will tell us how long, again, much of it is not even about how long, because the DNA processing, we've been already been informed that it's going to take a month. But of course, the autopsy results do not take that long. He should be able, unless there is something poisonous found in the system that needs a toxicology test. Much of it is where you would expect results to come out today. Interestingly, yesterday, the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, as the multi-agency investigating team continues with its investigations at the hillside Endarasha Academy, the Kenya Power appeared to absolve itself completely from blame, saying its supply lines and its connections to the school were not found to be faulty in its primary assessment of what transpired as, as a power utility firm. And more of it appearing to say, if there's an electric fault, then you need to ask the school because of their connection to the solar grid. And that is what really Kenya Power was saying. But the DCI is on top of things, together with other teams. I can confirm we saw even the National Construction Authority, that is NCA. So it's a multifaceted, a multi-agency investigation that really seeks to establish really what transpired. And it will also be one end of closing this matter, establishing what really happened. I've seen a statement from the Ministry of Education this afternoon that talks about the checking of schools, particularly boarding schools in primary and junior secondary, in conforming to the safety standards that have been established by the Ministry of Education. And that process has been ongoing since this accident happened, and is also ongoing. And then it will move later to secondary schools. And Ministry of Education officials really being warned that any person who flouts these safety rules, including managers of schools, a serious action will be taken against them. And that is where we are so far. But from Narumoru, Ben Troy, what we are expecting is a brief from the government chief pathologist, that is Johansen Odur, on this process and what he establishes as the cause of death later on this evening. So that's it, Ben Troy. Back to you at Broadcasting House.
Thank you so much, JKIA, live from Narumoru in Nyeri County there with a comprehensive brief of exactly what is currently happening. And it's a good thing to bring out that the autopsies are currently being undertaken in the hands of Chief Government Pathologist Johansen Odur. What we've also gathered is that he will be giving a brief at exactly 3 p.m. and we'll be making sure that we bring you an updated version of that report. But the country is still mourning, and Kenya Power yesterday did exactly say that on their part, and the part that the school had been supplied with electricity, there was no electrical fault, but investigations are currently underway. More on that a little bit later. Elsewhere, parents have withdrawn their pupils from Mandongoi Primary School, leaving the school and 4 others completely deserted following rising cases of insecurity in Mwingi, North Constituency, Kitui County. This comes after armed herders from the northeastern region raided the Kiseune village of Mandongoi last Friday, leaving a boy fighting for his life after he lost an arm from a gunshot. The school head teacher, Joel Maundu, said the insecurity problem in the area had completely paralyzed learning and called on the government to enhance security and reassure parents of their safety so that they may return their children to school.
Tumekuwa na shida kubwa ya uvamizi wa wafugaji wa ngamia ambao wamepiga watu marisasi Ijumaa iliyopita, na hiyo ikachangia watu wetu kutorokea sehemu tofauti tofauti.
Wale wengine wametorokea tu umumu na wako na wazazi sababu wanahofia usalama wao. Walimu pia si kwamba wako mbali, lakini wanakondolea tu waone kwamba watoto wamerudi na usalama wamerudi sawa ili wafike. Chenye tunaweza kuulizia ni kwamba usalama uhakikisho wa area hii, sababu watoto wanapotoka na iwe hakuna usalama unaweza kuwarudisha, wengi watakwenda mashule yale mengine na masomo mbali hapa itasambaratika.
We have come here and you know eventually cause the death and loss of property. So we have come to condone with the people and to beef up security in this place. So far there is no problem on matter security. There is done to bring sanity.
Still on security, residents of Bomachoge Borabu are calling on the police and relevant authorities to carry out a thorough and transparent investigation into the deaths of 12 individuals they claim died under unclear circumstances, led by their Member of Parliament, Nolfason Barongo. The residents want investigations expedited and perpetrators brought to book. At the same time, the legislator urged the members of the public to cooperate with the police and share any information that will ensure justice is served.
It's been the 12th death on record today. A village called the Sabakwa has also been affected through these mysterious deaths. I want to ask the PS of Internal Security, Raymond Ombolo, to very quickly ensure that he strengthens the security apparatus in my constituency so that we do not lose any more life.
Moving on, the State Department of Correctional Services will review the sentences of inmates serving for 5 years and below and enlist them in community service as a way of decongesting prisons. The department has also put up measures to ensure inmates benefit from vocational courses. According to the Principal Secretary of State Department for Correctional Services, Salome Biako, The department is working closely with the judiciary to implement the community service program. She spoke after inspecting various correctional facilities in Kericho and Bomet counties, including Kericho Main Prison and Bomet Prison.
We are trying to solve that problem of congestion in those prison cells is through decongestion. And that is why we are working very closely with the Chief Justice so that the probation officers do these reports and so that more of the judicial officers can come, and I'm encouraging them to make it a routine. They routinely come and visit these prisons and embark on that decongestion process. Those inmates who are petty offenders, like being drunk and disorderly, which is a very big problem here in this region, they need not be here. They can serve in the community. They can go and clean up the markets. They can go and paint the county commissioner's office. They can come and sweep the streets. That way we decongest them, but also they also feel that they have reformed.
Very well, we're back in the capital and we are crossing over to the JKIA where my colleague Joseph Wahungu is currently keeping tabs with what is happening there after air transport officials or airport workers down their tools on a go-slow following the disputed Adani JKIA deal with uncertainties in regards to their work. Let's cross over to JKIA. Hello, Wahungu, if you can hear me.
Njue, a very good afternoon to you in the studio. We are coming to you live from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. This is the domestic arrivals and departures area. This is where those who are traveling in the country or in the East African region come here either to depart or to arrive in the country. The situation here, as you can see, is basically a crowded area. Those there that you can see are travelers who are boarding different flights, the Kenya Airways and other flights going to various destinations within the country or the East African region. Most of them that we've talked to are saying that they've been here for, hours, waiting to be cleared, waiting to be, allowed to go on or proceed with their journeys to various destinations. This has been the situation from very early in the morning when we came here. Sight of stranded passengers expressing, frustrations at the situation. Many of them asking authorities to intervene so that the situation can be rectified as quickly as possible. Maybe, as my camera person can show you, most of them tired, most of them looking quite tired. They've been here for so long. Most of them didn't really want to talk to us on camera, but expressing their dissatisfaction with the way the situation has been handled. Most of them saying that maybe the authorities could have done better to ensure that the situation here is well handled. And it's all emanating from the strike that started last night. The Kenya Aviation Workers Union decided to down their tools after weeks of notice to the authorities, to the Kenya Airways, the Kenya Airports Authority. And it's all regarding the Adani Airport deal, the Adani Jomo Kenyatta International Airport deal, which the Kenya Airport Workers Union say that they will oppose because, according to them, the deal was, shrouded with mystery, and they wanted a law to be made clear, and they wanted the deal to be made clear. They wanted to know exactly why Adani was coming into the country. They expressed their dissatisfaction with the fact that the Kenya Airports Authority and the government decided to lease the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to a private or a foreign firm. And basically, they say that if Adani was to come to the country, the airport workers were to be assured that their jobs will not be lost. We managed to talk to various leaders in the country. We managed to talk to the Nairobi women MP, Esther Passaris, who spoke extensively about this issue. And one of the things that she said was the fact that she too wanted clarity on the matter. She wanted to know, really, she wanted the government to make the deal clear so that Kenyans can really understand what is this Adani deal have got to do with Kenyans. They wanted to know really what is in the deal, what is in the papers, what was written in it. And there are questions really about how this will go. So we know that the Kenya Airports Authority already gave a statement early in the morning and expressed their, their concerns about the situation. The Kenya Airports Authority talking about it in the morning in a statement, promising these travelers that all will be well, that despite what they termed as a section of workers having gone on strike, all will be well. They're working so hard to ensure that all flights, those that were delayed, will be rescheduled, and that these travelers will be able to proceed with their journeys to their various destinations. Now, similar situation was also witnessed at the international departures area, with most travelers departing to areas like destinations like Dubai, the UK, also speaking about this and really expressing their displeasure. Some of them who we talked to told us that they got SMSs, they got phone calls from their airlines telling them that their flights had been rescheduled to as late as 4 p.m. this evening. Some of them are supposed to, of course, to travel at 8 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning. They have to wait until 4 p.m. in the evening. So this is the situation at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And of course, we are still here trying to look at both perspectives, both angles, to try to see what will happen at the end of the day. I only need to tell you, Troy, that even as we're speaking, the Kenya Airports Authority, the Kenya Airport Workers Union, and the Central Organizations of Trade Union officials led by the Secretary General Francis Atwoli are right now holed up in a meeting right at the premises, right here at the airport, trying, to unlock this impasse that has taken, the better part of the day since last evening at 10 p.m. So Ben Troy, this is how the situation is at the airport. Of course, we will be here to look at everything that happens here. Back to you in the studio, Ben Troy.
Very well, Joseph Wahungu, live from the JKIA, and as you can see behind him is quite a sight to behold, looking at how many people have been stranded there. Some have had to cancel their flights, as he has told us. Some have had to reschedule their flight following the go-slow by airport workers in regards to the Adani deal. And of course, the Kenya Airports Authority did issue a statement in the morning, a statement issued in regards to the strike, saying that a lot of the issues that these people have been talking about have been canvassed in the authority. So we'll be keeping tabs with what is happening at the JKIA. But in other news, a new study aimed at understanding brain resilience has been launched in Kenya. The Brain Resilience Kenya study seeks to uncover how lifestyle, genetics and environmental factors contribute to brain health, particularly in African populations. This ambitious project could provide key insights into conditions like Alzheimer's, dementia, and mental health disorders.
The launch of the Brain Resilience Kenya study, spearheaded by a team of international and Kenyan researchers at the Brain and Mind Institute at the Aga Khan University, hopes to answer critical questions about the aging of the brain.
We all know for a fact that stressors are very detrimental, usually, to your well-being, but everybody responds differently to the stressors.
Dr. Chinedu Ude Momo, the principal investigator of the Brain Resilience Kenya study, believes that by studying brain health in Kenya, they can gain unique insights that could help to develop preventive strategies for the African demographic.
When the opportunity came to really study what factors drive how we thrive and how we flourish in the face of adversity, it made absolutely no sense without doing it in Africa, because the spirit of resiliency, I really think, lives in Africa.
In its preliminary studies, social interactions contribute to long-term brain resilience. Elizabeth Alwatch is a cancer survivor and attributes family and social support to positive health outcomes.
I let go of things that can affect my mental health. I let go of the spaces that can hurt me.
Speaking on behalf of the Director General for Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, Acting Director for Curative and Nursing Services, Dr. Rebecca Kitui, said the ministry is eager to adopt the findings of the study into policies.
I hope one of the outcomes will be a policy brief please address it once you are through to the Director General of Health, so that we can then put it into policy.
The study will track 300 participants, including 100 prostate and breast cancer survivors and their caregivers, and 200 healthy participants over the next 1 year. Maria Ambo reporting for KBC Channel 1.
The university's academic staff union WASU have issued a 7-day strike notice to demand the full implementation of the 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement CBA. At a press briefing, WASU National Secretary General Dr. Constantine Wesonga said a 7-day period is enough time for the government to avert the strike set for the 18th of this month.
Wa kufanya mgomo wa wafanyikazi katika vyuo vikuu, na ilani hiyo inashiria kwamba mgomo utaanza ifikapo mwezi huu tarehe 18. Ikiwa tajiri hata kuwa amefanya lile ambalo linatakikana kuwawezesha hawa wafanyikazi wapate nyongeza yao ya mshahara, tarehe 18 hamtakuwa na kazi yoyote.
We take a position and demand and state as follows. 1, that the 30,000 university employees in public universities and constituent colleges shall withdraw their labor on 18th of September 2024 until their demands are met. That there will be no teaching or any work activity in the universities with effect from the expiry of the strike notice.
Elsewhere, over 670 former casual workers of the Homa Bay County government are demanding payment of their dues, amounting to 39,700,022 shillings, 5 years after the court ruled in their favor. Led by the Secretary General Peter Otieno Odera, the workers are questioning the county's claim of a high wage bill, particularly in light of 1,764 new workers. They further argued that the county government should prioritize their compensation and use the 400 million shillings it received to settle pending bills.
Reinstatement or money. We are suffering.
Yes.
Either you reinstate us or give us our compensation immediately. We are Kenyans.
Now, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris met for the first time in a live televised presidential debate in Philadelphia to speak their agenda to the American voters. In a fiery 90-minute exchange, Harris frequently rattled the former president with personal attacks that appeared to throw him off message and raise the temperature of the highly anticipated contest. Kamala reference to the size of Trump's rally crowds, his conduct during the Capitol riot, and the officials who served in his administration who have since become outspoken critics of his campaign, repeatedly left Trump on the back foot. Take a look.
Night in Philadelphia marked the first presidential debate between former U.S. President Donald Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris on the race to the White House in the highly anticipated November 2024 U.S. presidential elections.
It's all about tax breaks for the richest people.
The pattern for much of this debate was Harris provoking her Republican rival into making extended defenses of his past conduct and comments. Trump reportedly gladly obliged, raising his voice at times and shaking his head. Kamala referred to the size of Trump's rally crowds, his conduct during the Capitol riot, and the officials who served in his administration who have since become outspoken critics of his campaign, repeatedly leaving Trump on the back foot.
I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies. because it's a really interesting thing to watch. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies.
That barb rattled the former president as he then spent most of his answer on a topic that should have been one of his main area of strength, defending his rally sizes and belittling hers. But the Harris tactic of putting Trump on the defensive was clear early in the evening when the topics covered were the economy and abortion.
They've destroyed the economy, and all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy.
According to BBC, public opinion surveys indicate many Americans are unhappy with how the Biden administration, of which Harris is a key member, has handled inflation and economy. But Harris turned the topic to Trump's proposed across-the-board tariffs, which she labeled Trump sales tax. The debate marks the beginning of a series of debates to be held before the elections.
And on that heated debate takes us to our first break. But when we come back, we still have more news. And in business, we'll be having an interactive segment. I'll be hosting Philip Pande, who is Executive Director, Corporate Career Academy. We will be addressing the youth employability skills gap in the country. Let's take a break.
Enjoy na GoTV. Beste yako wafuta. Tuna connect na ligi zote. Jishikie GoTV leo ujinice na the best futa live on SuperSport. GoTV. Love it.
I keep believing that one day they'll bring us together when they've shown in more ways than one. Whenever I'm near you, Sandy, you make me feel sexy. You make me feel irate. I'm feeling it. How about you, Sandy? Do you feel it? Oh, Lord knows that I don't want to be lonely tonight. The granny knows that I don't want to be lonely tonight. I don't want to wait and wait for your love. I don't want to wait and wait for your love.
Welcome back and many thanks for keeping it at KBC Channel 1. Moving on, the government has been urged to channel more funding to research activities, especially in areas touching on security threats such as terrorism, insurgencies and cyber crimes. Speaking during the opening of the 2024 African Borderland Research Network Conference at the Humanitarian Peace Support School in Embakasi, Vice Chair of Defense Forces Lieutenant General John Omenda says it is only through research that the country can come up with practicable solutions on how to handle emerging challenges in security, particularly at the border points.
As a people, we should continuously embrace research towards sustainable development through sufficient funding of research activities. The challenge, therefore, is to conduct research aimed at mitigating the current asymmetric threats that the whole world is facing.
In a world that is rapidly evolving,
where borders are becoming less defined in the digital realm, our approach to trade and commerce must adapt to these transformative changes.
I believe the deliberation that is going on for the next 2 days definitely will come up with a lot of outcomes that can really support our policy and our program in terms of engaging both UNDP and other partners to transform, to bring transformative change into the borderlands of Africa. Thank you.
Moving on, more than 40 teenage mothers in Siaya County have benefited from a digital literacy training program aimed at empowering them to leverage on technology to improve their lives. The program, dubbed She Deserves Rights and Skills, trained the women on content creation and how to use several digital tools. It was funded by the French Embassy through Siaya Muungano Network in collaboration with the African Women Economic Policy Network, AWEPON, and Stawisha Initiative. Speaking at the closure of the training, the Executive Director of Siaya Muungano Network, Charlene Adhiambo Tieno, said they intend to conduct such training at least twice every year so as to benefit more girls.
By different leaders who have also committed to continuously support these girls as we work towards ensuring that all of them have a dignified life in line with ending gender-based violence in Siaya County.
I really appreciate this organization, and I really hope that they will stand together to help more youths within the community.
And residents of Athi River in Machakos County are appealing to the security agencies to tame rampant cybercrime and cyberbullying by taking action against those found culpable of the offense. According to the locals, character assassination on the internet, and mostly targeting women, has been on the rise, adding that the negative publicity online not only affects the targeted individual's character, but also their family members through bullying and discrimination. They also want the cybercrime safety regulations revised to address gray areas that make the burden of proof of malicious intentions difficult.
DCI na polisi, mimi ninaweza kuwapa wito ya kusema waweke security na wachunguze wenye wanaingia kwa mitandao kuharibia watu jina, wachukuliwe watu wakari.
Najua vijana tuko na influence, lakini ukiwa kama kijana, make sure ile kitu unasambaza ni kitu ya ukweli sana.
In Samburu, a section of the clergy in Maralal, Samburu County, is calling upon the county government to crack down on the sale and consumption of illicit alcohol and narcotic drugs in the area. They claim that most youth are being lured to indulge in the vice, expressing fears that families will be destabilized if the trend continues. The clerics have vowed to fight the vice through public demonstrations and sensitization campaigns.
Kwa government, let empower our people. Pesa inapeana kwa serikali kwa wingi, tufanye kwa njia nzuri. Tupee watu wetu, watoto wetu waache kulala kwa area, ama tufanye kwa njia tribal ama nepotism. Sisi tunaomba kiroho. Na nyinyi mfanye kazi yenu, maana Mungu aliwachagua.
Jumbe natuma kwa kaunti ya kwamba wakuje watuone sisi na sisi, maana kijiji ya Loika simesemekana si watu ni kama si watu wanaishi huko. So naomba wakuje waangalie soko mjinga, maana soko mjinga imemaliza watoto wengi.
And in business, the West Pokot County government has launched a livestock improvement project targeting vulnerable groups. Under the program, 219 groups have been supplied with 1,272 gala goats, 464 dorper sheep, and 34 modern beehives.
Under the program, several schools have received pedigree bulls have been distributed to improve livestock productivity. West Pokot Governor Simon Kachapin says the program's strategy focus on enhancing livestock breed is a means to increase household income and food security.
Hizi wanyama ambayo tunapeana leo ni ile kuweka nursery, kwamba kesho wakati tutafungua hii kiwanda yenye iko hapa mbele yetu, tutakuwa na wanyama ya kutosha na zile kilos ambayo inatakikana, ama wanyama ambayo itakuwa na nyama ambayo inahitajika na standards ya kimataifa.
He says the Gala goat breed and dorper sheep, known for their adaptability to harsh climatic conditions, are well suited for the region.
Wakulima wetu ambao wamekuja hapa watafaidika na hii ni njia moja ya kuimprove ile tunasema ukulima biashara, kwa sababu hapo ndio tunaenda, na tumeweza kuhimiza vikundi vyote ambao wanapata msaada leo waende watunzi hawa mimea wanyama ili waweze kuendeleza, kwa sababu kama hii ni kama mbegu.
The initiative include training farmers on modern livestock management practices.
Hii ni type mzuri, masiwa yake ni mingi kuliko ile yetu ya kawaida. Ukiuza utapata pesa mzuri kuliko ile yetu, na inabadilisha kwa sababu ni mingi, ile senge ni mingi.
National government kupitia World Bank ametukumbuka kama West Pokot kupitia gavana yetu. Jali wakulima pamoja na wamama wa groups, kwa sababu ukiona zaidi ukichunguza kila group wamama ni wengi. Nikaona kwamba kweli wamama wanajali kufuga mifugo.
The program involves deworming and animal feed supplement to support the health and productivity of their livestock. Felix Q for Lunchtime News.
Very well, and on this interactive segment, as I had mentioned earlier, we're looking at the addressing youth employability skills gap, and joining me on set is Philip Pande. Philip Pande is Executive Director of Corporate Career Academy. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you very much, Ben.
I'm looking at the skills that the youth have as we and entering the job market, and it has not been a walk in the park. A lot are learned, but unfortunately because of some of the things like mismatch of skills and on-job requirements. Can you address this?
Very well, Ben. It's true that there is a huge discordance between the industry and academia, or training institutions for that matter. And just last year during our East African Employability Summit, the inaugural summit, we had the Federation of Kenya Employers unveiling some skill survey, which again pointed at the need for young people to reskill, retool themselves much as they're educated. There is a difference to be educated and to be skilled, because skills are specific to particular job requirements, particular assignments, like what you're doing here in the studio. You could have gone to school, but you're not skilled enough to do what the employer requires you to do. And not just the FKE survey. There have been many other studies, including the World Bank's Enterprise Survey in 2015. As Corporate Career Academy, we've looked into details, some mind-boggling figures, especially by the Inter-University Council for East Africa, which in 2014 unraveled that at least 56% of our graduates in East Africa were not ready for the job market, and they were pointed at specific skills that were to do with workplace skills, people skills, interpersonal relationships, and just being dependable and reliable in terms of what you're given to do and to accomplish as an individual. And so over time we are seeing a number of people coming into the market. In Kenya, we're talking about 1 million every year graduating from our TVETs and training institutions, universities, seeking for employment. But again, not all of them can get work. But even those that get work, the employers are still saying that they don't fit the bill, they don't meet the demand. So there is really a huge need to look into that.
And many jobs by the year 2030 will require ICT skills. How is Kenya as a country preparing for this?
Well, there is a huge shift in the workspace today. You hear people wanting to work remotely or work from home, which basically tells that you are possibly have access to internet and you have access to a computer or a device that would allow you to work remotely and collaborate with people elsewhere. We've seen the government of the day today campaigning and advocating for digital jobs. And we are at the advent of the CBC, the new curriculum that has a lot of, issues to catch up with. For example, we've advocated for STEM, and particularly digital skills would be found in the aspect of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, where you have a lot to do with ICT, IT, and access to technology. While we say that IT and the digital pathways are the way to go, there is still really a huge need to focus on the arts, for example. The creative industry in Kenya is underdeveloped, under-pursued, even in the East African context. So, yes, we must live to the reality of the day on the shift and the disruption of artificial intelligence, or AI, and look at that with the interplay between that and digital opportunities. It has become more of a necessity that we must all be equipped in terms of learning computer skills, in terms of being able to operate a gadget as basic as a mobile phone, and work with people across the globe. You can't work remotely or work from home when you are not tech savvy. So tech has become part and parcel of humanity, just like one of the basics languages of communicating. You'd say that you need ICT and tech much as you need English to communicate at workplace.
Yeah, and Philip, you've mentioned TVETs, and looking at the TVET space for the last couple of years, it's quite robust now, and a lot of support, especially from the government and other institutions. How can we leverage on that, on TVETs, to wipe away unemployment among the youth in the country?
Well, Ben, as I mentioned, last year we had the privilege of hosting the inaugural East African Employability Summit. We are doing a second one this October from 29th to 30th at the KICC. And during that inaugural summit, the Director General of TVET Authority in Kenya, Dr. Langat, explained that there is a deficit in the numbers that we send to our TVETs. In 1 out of every person that we send to the universities, we need 4 more to join the TVET institutions, but we're still not living up to that reality. But the good news is, if you look at the KUPS admission, that's the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Services, you'll see a shift in terms of the numbers. Particular people who have qualified for degree courses are not selecting degree courses, but are opting for TVET courses or mid-level colleges, including KMTC, people opting to do nurses. Nursing as a course, people opting to do more technical courses. And it's not just that local shift. In the East African community, we have the ESTRIP program that is supported by the World Bank, working with a number of countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, I think Tanzania is included, to build capacities of TVETs and to ensure that they are able to equip them adequately to serve the need and to serve the population. The African Development Bank, again, is working with the government of Kenya, several other countries, to equip TVETs and make them centers of excellence. In Kenya, for example, I know that a number of TVETs are under that program in which they're building not just the infrastructure, but also training personnel to be able to train young people and to adequately give skills that would be what we're calling the 21st century skills that are needed to solve the 21st century problems. So this shift in TVET helps in many ways. One, it helps to serve the population that would otherwise not get into the university. The percentage of those who qualify for the university courses very low. For example, in Kenya, you're talking about less than 10%. In Africa, we're talking about a population of 20% without only 20% of us with post-secondary education, which means that a dominant 80% did not go anywhere post their secondary education. So in this conundrum, there is really need to take care of everybody. And when we're talking about on-demand skills, then we know that TVETs, for example, are centers of excellence per se in terms of equipping people and all those courses, all those solutions that we need to run our homes, to run our offices, to run our businesses, and to run an economy. I looked at the Federation of Kenya Employers survey on skills. There's still a need to get, of course, 43% of workers with degrees, 25% with diplomas and so forth. And so as that mix keeps on growing, we hope that ultimately we are going to have more of skilled persons from TVETs to access opportunities. We've seen the model of funding in Kenya today. A lot is talked about in terms of access to university education than TVET. So whereas there is a focus that we should all have degrees, we should all have masters, it is fundamental that each and every person has a skill, because the skill is more fundamental than just going to school and getting accolades. It is important that when you come out of institutions, you should be able to solve problems.
It's a good thing you're mentioning training. You're a trainer yourself. Should regular training be enforced to ensure that we have an update of skills, just more or less like the same way we update our systems and even computers and even phones?
Yeah, we are talking about regular training as an ongoing process by employers. Anybody that is an employer should always have refresher courses, upgrading skills, retooling workers to fit within the transformation in the 21st century, competing with technology, competing with AI, for example. If you are an ordinary banker that would be doing reconciliations, so bank reconciliations in the night when people have gone back home to sleep, you realize that that job is bit by bit going away by banks automating processes, ensuring that robots, for example, are able to reconcile bank transactions within, in a twinkle of an eye, a few seconds. That work could be done. Otherwise, you'll need ordinarily 3 people working overnight to just reconcile a branch transaction. Now, in this need to keep training people. Therefore, if you had somebody, for example, working as helping in reconciliation, you don't want to make them redundant. You want to redeploy them or take them to other places where they would be useful. And so it would call for training. But it's not just continuous training at workplace. It's not just people learning skills virtually on the internet or through other tools that are available. We have advocated hugely for the reform of our curricula so that from ground up, you're already able to build people that are built for the industry and that are ready for industry. I'll tell you, for example, you'll find courses in Kenya today in East Africa that do not have attachment or do not have internship. So it means that you're training for 4 years or 5 years, then direct to the workplace without ever stepping foot into a work environment. What does it mean? That probably somebody has never interacted with professionals at all. So are we able to review our curriculum? And as one of the recommendations of last year's summit, curricular reform and working closely with industry to get industry contribution into how we train should be very vital to inform how people graduate or how people are skilled in our institutions, both from basic and tertiary institutions. But again, like you say, it is fundamental for organizations, for employers to keep training, to keep mentoring, and to keep supporting the employees to and new skills.
And as we wrap up, what are the challenges and opportunities in partnering with the private sector? We're also in the private sector.
Yes.
And in addressing this employment gaps that we have in the country.
Yes. So the employability skills gap is not a government affair. Neither is it an academic affair. And it can also not be apportioned to the industry alone. So as Corporate Career Academy, we are the single institution across East Africa, and I would say Africa today, that is organizing a forum, a summit that brings everybody on board, academia, development partners, those that are into the youth employment entrepreneurship space, people working on access to opportunities and jobs for the youth, to cross-pollinate ideas and build consensus on how learning institutions, out-of-school institutions are able to train and facilitate transition to industry. Government spend a lot of money into education. For example, education today accounts for over 30% of our budget. But are we guaranteeing employment? Are we guaranteeing that everybody that we've spent money on is going to end up skilled enough to get employment? So the hugest opportunity that we are offering is for stakeholders to come and convene on this. The second is giving the private sector an opportunity to talk directly to government and the trainers who are the academic institutions and the training sports, because the VCs, the directors, career services, the deans and all these people are arriving in a room. The third, which is fundamental, because this is East Africa wide, we've talked about a common market, but we are forgetting about a common demographic, which is the youth. We are forgetting about the common education that we've talked about. And therefore, mobility of skills is quite an important conversation that the East Africa community must have, that for the integration, the full integration to be achieved, for us to talk about a common market, we must talk about the common demographics with the common skills that are transferable from Kenya to Uganda to all the way to Congo. The challenge that we are still experiencing, that as a small organization, Corporate Career Academy is a social enterprise registered by the Social Enterprise Society of Kenya. We are a member of the East African Business Council. The buy-in and stakeholder communications are still low, and we are looking to an opportunity where we are able to partner with government more strategically. We are looking at opportunity where we are able to partner with the development space, and to have not just this summit as a success on the 28th and 29th, and on the 30th of October, but to continue this conversation. We've helped over 18 institutions, universities and colleges to entrench offices of career services. Are we able to do that with government? Are we able to do that with private sector, so that we churn graduates and persons that have capacity to solve the challenges that we experience as Kenya, as East Africa, as the continent of Africa, because we know for a fact that the youth bulge, the population growth here, the demographic shifts is affecting how we are going to produce, how we are going to govern, and how we are going to live as a continent, at least for the next 100 years.
Thank you indeed so much. That is Philip Pande, who is Executive Director for Corporate Career Academy. We were addressing the youth employment skills gap partnerships. The future is the youth, and the youth is the future. These partnerships are quite crucial to ensure that we bridge that gap. Thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we will be able to continue with our broadcast, where Kenyans borrowed more than they saved in Saccos in the year 2023. That is according to the latest Sacco Supervision Annual Report. Gross loans increased by 11.5% to 758.57 billion shillings in 2023, up from 680.35 billion shillings the previous year. While domestic savings and deposits totaled 682.19 billion shillings, Cooperatives Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya is advocating for the merging of small Saccos to address liquidity challenges and enhance digital infrastructure.
The broader economic environment, which is already manifesting itself, Waziri, in terms of growth in the Sacco industry. We are noting what we might say a declining growth in Saccos. From upwards of 12-13%, we are finding ourselves in 9.9%. So the declining growth due to the reality in our economy. So Saccos are already feeling. When employers close, it means those are members Saccos have lost, loans are likely not to be paid, we are dealing, and some of them, I'm sure they'll find their way. And connected to that is that loan portfolio makes nearly 80% of the asset in a Sacco.
Will help you enjoy economies of scale. And as a ministry, we are just encouraging you to merge, because we are telling you these are the benefits if you merge. We are not forcing you people to merge. As I've said, we don't want to be policemen standing behind cooperative officials, do this, do that. But if you make a good decision, you have decided to merge, we will encourage you. We will just create a conducive environment to see that you, when you merge, we support you. So that is what we are recommending, that mergers will help you, especially now computerization has become very expensive. When you are a small Sacco, you might not afford the cost of computerization. But if you come together and you are able to have a computer system that will help all of you, that we support as government.
To sporting actions last night, let's look at the UEFA Nations League. Harry Kane celebrated his 100th England cap in a memorable style as the striker superb double sealed a 2-0 win against Finland in the UEFA Nations League on Tuesday. The 31-year-old is the 10th man to reach a century of England appearances, joining the likes of David Beckham,